Some of you may be questioning, what is an example of a project? One of the most common examples is planning a wedding. Every year, thousands of people across the country get married. There's a lot of planning involved in having a wedding. So, what we're going to look at is a small video in regards to planning a wedding. What I want you to do while you're watching the video is reflect back on the previous slides where we've talked about the attributes of a project. See if you can identify the attributes of a project as they relate to planning a wedding, since it is a project.
So, tell me about your wedding. Let's get right to it. How much do you cost? All right, let's be real here. I'm talking dollars and cents. Just so you know, my neighbor's sister's cousin's girlfriend does this on the side, and she's gonna give me a really good deal. You know I can do this wedding planning stuff on my own, right? I brought a couple pieces of inspiration with me. Let's take a look. I'm thinking of a Cirque du Soleil theme, but I'm also thinking a barnyard theme. What do you think? Vintage, chic, modern, maybe something in a penthouse? I'm also thinking of a band, but I can't spend more than $1,000 on a band. Can I get a band for $1,000? What about a videographer? I don't really think I need a videographer. I'm thinking my uncle can do the videography. He can do it for free. Do you know any good photographers? I definitely want a photographer, and I'm also thinking I should get the cover of New Jersey Bride. I want Preston Bailey style centerpieces and uplighting. Do you know Preston Bailey? So what kind of discounts do you offer? How come you're not writing this down? I don't see you writing anything down. What? That is crazy expensive. I gotta think about this.
While that was just a fun example of what is entailed in planning a wedding, there is a lot of time and effort and resources and money put into planning a wedding. So, when we get into all of the steps or elements to planning a wedding, you will notice that it goes back to the attributes that we discussed previously. We will now continue by looking at other examples of projects. Another common project that people encounter is hosting a dinner, building a house, maybe adding an addition onto a house or redecorating a room. There's also staging a theatrical production. People organize and host conferences all the time. With that, that's part of a project. You will notice that throughout the term, some of your discussion posts will be surrounding organizing and hosting a conference for a future employer or an employer that you're currently working for. Planning and holding a high school reunion, there's a lot of work that goes into that. And so again, you're looking at resources, you're looking at budget, you're looking at time frame, who's sponsoring this. Depending on where the event is being held, there is some uncertainty, some degree of risk associated with it. Also, a couple of more examples: designing and publishing written literature, and also organizing a festival. Next, we're going to look at project constraints. What is a constraint? Well, we've defined what a project is, but an actual constraint, well, a constraint is a limitation of some sort or something that's restricting. So when we look at a project, we're looking at things that can limit or restrict the success of a project. There are several things that can limit or restrict the success of a project. And so we will be looking at those items in the next couple of slides. The first constraint we'll look at is scope. You may be questioning, what is scope? Well, the scope, as it relates to project management, is all the work necessary to produce the project deliverables. Now, this would be produced to the customer satisfaction, and it's going to meet the acceptance criteria identified by the customer. Additionally, it will meet the project objective. Now, the project can be constrained by a scope if the scope is not clearly defined or at any time the scope is altered. Now, these are just examples of how the project can be constrained in relation to scope. We will next look at quality. The customer should be identifying the quality requirements necessary for the project. For example, if you're building a house, you may require that the builder use certain quality or a certain level of quality of materials. That may mean the builder using a brand that you are comfortable with because you know their reputation, you've used their products before. So, with that being said, the builder knows this is what you're expecting as a level of quality. Throughout the project, the builder should then be verifying or making sure that the quality expected by the customer is what is being produced. If for some reason the quality is compromised in any way, it could affect the end outcome or the project success. Next, we're going to look at the schedule of the project. There are tasks in the project. Some of these tasks are dependent on one another. So, for example, if you're building a house, you will want to draw up the plans first before you start building. If for some reason the firm or the organization identified to draw up the plans of what your house should look like is off schedule with drawing up those plans, then the building can't start. So then the schedule is affected, and this could potentially affect a positive outcome or the outcome that is expected of the house being built by a certain date. Next, we're going to look at the budget. Now, when we're looking at the budget, we're looking at how much money we have to sponsor this project, so to speak, or pay for this project. So, if for some reason there is not enough money in the budget to complete the project to the specifications identified, this can affect the project being successfully completed. Now, it could affect, there could be some modifications to some of the things that we purchase or some of the resources that we use. That then can affect the quality of the resources or some of the items that we use, but not necessarily. So, for example, if you're building this house and there's a certain level of quality that you're looking for in the materials, but when you completed the budget in the beginning, the materials were at a certain price. And now, when you are in need of those materials in order to complete the tasks associated with building your house, the materials have gone up in price. You are either going to have to take into account that, okay, there is a price increase, so I'm going to have to come with more money. Or if it's a fixed price level or a fixed budget, meaning that the price is that you don't have any more money, you may have to go with a different resource provider, or you may have to go with a different quality material in order to accomplish the end result of your house being built. Now, that does not mean that your house still won't be of the quality that you're looking for. The materials just may be of a different quality. And the quality may not be, there may not be a significant difference in the quality. But again, this is how the budget can come into play. Okay. We always want to make sure that we're on target with the budget or below the budget. We don't want to overrun the budget. Next, we're going to look at resources and risk. The resources are going to be the people, the materials, whatever is needed to complete the project. So, in the instance of us building a house, the resources could be contractors. So I need the people to draw up the plans for the house. I need the people to actually build the house. I'm going to need painters. I'm going to need electricians. And if for some reason those resources are not available, this could affect the project success. Now, that doesn't mean that the project won't be successful, but it could throw off the schedule if for some reason they're not available and I have to find replacements. Other resources are going to be materials. If the materials necessary are on back order, now, yes, the materials will come in, but it could throw the project off a couple of weeks. And if we had a firm date where the house needed to be built, this can impact that. Risk. One of the risks that could present themselves is weather. We cannot control the weather. So let's say we're using the example of building a house. When we're building this house, we start off, we have the frame up. There's some things that we need to do on the inside, but there isn't a roof. So it starts to rain. The workers can't do or perform their duties in the rain. So the schedule is thrown off because they can't work. And depending on how long the rain lasts, it dictates how long they won't be working. That's something that we need to take into account when we're doing this. We need to look at the weather and account for any days that potentially um, could cause a delay in the schedule. Next, we're going to look at customer satisfaction and stakeholder support. These two items go hand in hand. You want to engage both the customer and the stakeholders just to verify that they're on board with everything, they're supporting the project, and also everyone's happy. You want to make sure that the customer's needs are being met and that there aren't any changes. You want to constantly communicate with the customer on the progress of the project. Any issues that come up that need to be discussed should be discussed so that the customer has confidence in the team that's completing the project, as well as that the project will be completed to the specifications and the time frame and within budget as discussed at the beginning of the project. The stakeholders are going to be there to support, but you also want to make sure that they're taken care of. These are the individuals that will also need to be informed on the progress of the project because they have some stake, so to speak, in the success of the project.